Switchcraft is recorded live 3 times a week on Tuesdays and Thursdays at 3 p.m. U.S. Eastern and on Saturday at whatever time I can get to it. Tune in live at twitch.tv/runjumpstomp. This particular episode of Switchcraft is brought to you by Kimbalina66. Support Switchcraft and my other content for as little as $1 over at patreon.com/runjumpstomp. There we go. We recorded that. We'll go ahead and name it. And then actually, I think I should do like a little PSA. Let me see here. We'll call that patron. Save. Oh my god. NSC202. Yeah, figuring out how I'm going to teach things differently next year. All right. Episode 202 of Switchcraft is brought to you by Audible. Get a free book and directly support the show by heading on over to runjumpstomp.com/audible. Once you're there, you get to pick whatever book you want from thousands of books from any genre you can think of. You're definitely going to find something you like. Again, the URL to directly support the show and get a free book is runjumpstomp.com/audible. Sponsor? Ah! I hit the wrong button. And I just realized I didn't have things muted. So there we go. All right, I said at the beginning that I was going to... No, that's not how I want to say it. All right, I said at the beginning of the show that we record on Tuesdays and Thursdays at 3 p.m. U.S. Eastern. That is what has been happening for the last year. However, for those of you that don't know, I am a teacher. We have just entered summer vacation, finally. And I don't know, like, what was happening before is I would record as soon as I got home from work. I would come home from work. I would come upstairs, get my show notes in order, sit down, and record right then. Now, I still want to try and do this on a schedule, but I need to kind of get the feel of summer first before I know exactly when I'm going to be able to record. I think this is the first summer where I have been recording podcasts live. Last year, I didn't record the podcast live. I just recorded it whenever I felt like it and put out an episode. So I didn't have to worry about whether or not people were expecting to see me live. So I've got to figure out exactly how my summer schedule is going to work out, because even though I'm on vacation, it's not really a vacation. I still have a lot of work to do for my job, especially because I have a lot of extra training that I go to as part of a second part of my job. But because of that, like 3 p.m. might not always work out. And I just wanted to let you guys know about that ahead of time. Excuse me, ahead of time. Before we move on, you've got one more week to enter the giveaway for a $60 eShop gift card. That's going to be at the end of the month. This is because we hit 200,000 downloads in only 4 months. And what's even crazier to me is that when I started doing this, the giveaway, less than a month ago, that was when we hit 200,000. We were already past 230,000. So we're really doing really well, and I'm very happy about that. But if you want to win $60 worth of eShop cash, head on over to runjumpstomp.com/giveaway and make sure that you enter the contest before the end of next week. I think we only have 7 days left. All right, so make sure that you are there. We'll just call this housework. Government arcade cabinets are doing that. Oh boy. Oh boy. Captain Logan, you should be happy at that. you're talking about a single game, and it's a game that's also not that popular on the least popular video game system. And those are crazy numbers in just 4 months. So I think that you should be proud of that. The way I look at it, and this is the way I always kind of looked at it, is when I am looking at the numbers for my podcast, and you're always going to be disappointed with the numbers of your podcast because you're always like, well, how come they're not more? What can I do to make more, to get more people to listen? That's always something that's going to happen in your head, and it's definitely something that happens in mine, even though I never expected to have numbers for my podcast downloads to be anywhere near what they are now. It's crazy. But the way that I look at it, and this is something I read over on the podcasting subreddit, was that just try and picture that many people in a room listening to you. Okay? So if you're getting my old show when I was recording with Zap, we would usually get about 25 downloads per episode. And it was a lot of work to make sure that Zap and I were scheduled together, to make sure that I had the show notes ready, that he had the show notes ready. Plus I didn't know what I was doing as well at that time. So it was a lot of work to do that show for 25 people to download it. And what I read that really kind of turned my brain around on this was, if you just picture 25 people who are deciding to come listen to you in a room, that's crazy. Like, I have trouble imagining that 25 people would show up to listen to me talk. Now, of course, I just said I'm a teacher, and 25 people showing up to listen to me talk happens every day, but they have to be there, So now when I have an episode that gets 4,000 downloads, I look at that, or actually it was closer to 5,000. When I have an episode that gets 5,000 downloads, I look at that and I say, oh my God, that's 5,000 people. That's like a concert. There's a concert worth of people that are sitting there listening to me talk about something. And that is just mind-blowing to me, and really crazy. So, just keep up working on your podcast, Captain Logan, because right now you had 6,000 people download your podcast in 4 months. All right, that's a pretty good number, especially for a podcast about one game on one system. Podcast should be mandatory by the government, he says. Nice. All right, let's move on. Well, the game is finally out, and I am really enjoying it. And the game that I'm talking about is, of course, Mario Tennis Aces. Mario Tennis Aces, if you did not know, is the next Mario Tennis game. It has an online mode, it has an offline mode, it has a story mode, and I picked it up, or didn't pick it up. It showed up, or it arrived yesterday. I was super busy and didn't really have a chance to play it until later at night. And I just kind of lucked out because my wife was watching The Handmaiden's Tale, I think is the name of the show that she's been watching. She was watching that, and my son and I were sitting up here. I think we were playing Fortnite together on our PS4s. So we were playing Fortnite, and I said, all right, buddy, it's time for bed. And I sent him off to bed and tucked him in and everything. And I came back upstairs, and sure enough, my wife had fallen asleep watching the show. And I was like, well, now is as good a time as any to check out Mario Tennis. So I got the game, I opened it up, I put it in the console and sat down, and I started to play a little bit. And then I noticed that friends of the show, Link31254 and Joel Mead, were playing. They were in our Discord, which you can find at runjumpstomp.com/Discord. I saw that they were in one of the voice channels, so I hopped in and I was like, what are you guys up to? And they're like, oh, we're playing a little Mario Tennis. I was like, so am I. And we tried to match it up so that Link had a friend over, and he was going to see if those two could be a duo, while Joel Mead and I could be a duo, but it didn't work. I think that that for that it requires both sets of people to be on one Switch. So Link and his friend on one Switch, and Joel and I on another Switch. But Joel doesn't live anywhere near me, so that didn't work. So Link said, well, that's okay. I'm going to play with my friend here locally. Why don't you guys play against each other? So Joel and I jumped into a game, and we played, I don't know, like 10 matches or so against each other. And it was really fun, really competitive. Although he ended up winning more often than I did. We had a lot of fun. And that game is really good. It feels more like a fighting game than a sports game. And I feel like it's got this back and forth where any time the outcome of the game could completely shift. And I think that has to do with the way that tennis itself works. Tennis, you almost always have to win by 2. So you can't just win by 1. You always have to, if let's say that we're tied, you have to get advantage, and then you have to get another point after that. And that caused a lot of really long games between Joel and I, where we would be tied, and like he would get advantage, and then I would catch up, and then I would get advantage, and then he would catch up, and we'd keep bouncing back and forth like that. And it was great because his son was in the background, and every time one of us like did one of our really cool moves, he would cheer and scream. And I had a blast playing that game. And then Joel had something that he had to go do, so I switched over and played a few tournaments. This is where you are just playing against random people, and if you win, you get to move on in the bracket, and if you lose, you don't get to move on, of course. And I never made it past the second part. Now, in the original, I guess beta or the demo, I got all the way to the end of the tournament before I lost once. I just was having a bad night where I was playing really poorly or making some silly mistakes. But I played a few tournaments, and I had a lot of fun doing it. Usually got up to the second level before I got knocked out of the tournament. And what I noticed is that I ran into almost no lag issues. The lag issues, which really plagued the demo, seem to be gone for the most part. Now, this morning I woke up, and I had played a little bit of Mario Tennis this morning, and I did run into lag against one person. Now, their connection to me was like 4 bars, and if you don't know this, when you play the game, you can see what kind of connection you have to the other person, and it gives you a chance to back out of it. And for the most part, if I see anybody who has one or two bars, I will just say, nope, I'm not going to play against them. What I do wish is that they wouldn't show what character that they were going to play with, because I think that some people will back out of it based on, oh, they're playing as, I don't know, Chain Chomp, or they're playing as Rosalina. I don't want to play against them because they're OP, and I'll talk about that in a second. But, you can back out of it if they've got a crappy connection to you, and that's what I did a few times. Now, this guy, it said that he had 4 bars, and I was like, all right, cool, I'm going to play against them. And then after the match started, probably after our third rally back and forth, his or hers, their connection to me like just dropped like a stone, and it was really bad and super laggy and very frustrating. But that was not the rule. That was clearly the exception to the rule. And I think that, I'm not sure if they have better netcode this time around, or maybe I was just lucky in the people that I was running into. But I had a much better experience this time around. And it's unfortunate that Nintendo didn't have better netcode during that first demo, or maybe they changed something. But whatever they changed, they definitely have improved it. At least it seemed like it to me. And I thought it was really fantastic. I had a lot of fun with it. Now, there are some people who are complaining about certain characters. They're saying, oh, Chain Chomp is overpowered, or Rosalina is overpowered, or Waluigi is overpowered. And those are the 3 that I keep hearing about. And I don't agree with that sentiment. This is a thing that tends to happen quite often in online competitive games. What happens is you start playing the game and you come up against a character that has not necessarily a move set, but a style. In this case, for the tennis, it's more of a style than a move set. But they've got a play style that is not intuitive to counter, if that makes sense. So when you are playing as one of these characters, you almost have a leg up because a lot of people haven't yet figured out how to counter these characters. But there hasn't been very much time for people to figure that out. And so a lot of people start saying, well, this character's OP because I haven't figured out how to counter them yet. Well, eventually somebody's going to figure out how to counter them, and then they won't seem as powerful. But unfortunately, as soon as somebody sees, oh, and I'm just going to use one character as an example. Oh my gosh, Rosalina is OP. They see that on Twitter, or they see that on Reddit, or they see it on Facebook, or wherever it is that people are talking about these games. As soon as somebody sees that and then they lose against that character, that cements it for them. And they believe from then on forever, this character is OP until they get a nerf from Nintendo. And I don't think that that's really, I don't think it's correct. I think that while right now I tend to lose more often against those characters, especially Rosalina and Boo, that for me, that's because their shots curve a lot. And when they curve that shot using the B button on the Switch, it tricks me. I start heading one direction and then the shot curves and it's going the other way. And it's going to take me some time to get used to playing against those characters to where I can anticipate that, and then they won't feel as powerful against me. Anyway, that's just my take on it. I am very, very curious as to what you guys think of Mario Party. Not Mario Party, you idiot. Mario Tennis Aces. And here's an idea that I had last night. I haven't put any work into it yet, but this is something that I plan on doing. And it's going to take a little work on everyone's part if we want to participate in this. And it's going to be a tournament. Now, I know that you're saying, well, hold on, we already have tournaments. You're right, there are already tournaments, but I didn't see a way for us to do tournaments with just friends. And if there is a way, and I'm wrong about this, please let me know. I haven't had a lot of time to play the game very much, so I'm very curious about this. But here's what I plan on doing. I want to get a list of everybody who's playing the game, and in our community, which I call the Nerd Nest. I want to get a list of everyone who's playing that game, and I'm going to make a bracket. And then it's up to you guys to do your part of the bracket. So let's say that I'm just looking at people in chat. Let's say that I have Cat and Logan and Vaxer, and I put them together in the bracket. Then they have to work out when they're going to play. And we'll say, all right, sometime in the next 3 or 4 days, I want everybody to do their bracket. So they'll have their game. They'll report back who won, and then we'll take that bracket and we'll move it forward until we can get the complete Mario Tennis Aces champion, if that makes sense to you guys. So if you haven't already joined our Discord, you should absolutely head over to runjumpstomp.com/Discord. And once you've joined the Discord, keep an eye out for this, for me to post something about this bracket. Because once I do, I'll start putting all of the work into it. And maybe we'll have like a $5 eShop gift card be the prize for the winner at the end. And I know it's not very much, but you know what? It's a fun game anyway, so it's just a small thing. And if anybody wants to donate something to make the prize bigger or better, let me know. And maybe you could win your own prize. Who knows? But anyway, that's my plan for Mario Tennis Aces. I'm really having a fun time with the game. If you haven't picked up the game yet, please make sure to check out the link in the show notes. If you buy the game using that link in the show notes, I get a cut from Amazon. So little sellout right there. All right, let's move on. Vaxxer's going to win. You heard it here first, folks. All right, the black thing. I heard somebody say something about the black thing. Vaxxer says, silly question. Is that thing behind you turned on? This, the Wii U gamepad? Yes, it is turned on. I mean, it's not on, but if I hit the power button, it'll turn on. Does that make sense? It looks like there's something happening on the screen because it's reflecting off my ceiling fan. If that makes sense. And I'm going to have to rearrange this stuff a little bit because I've got something new coming that I am very excited about. And we'll talk about that when it gets here, because maybe it won't get here. It's another thing I found on eBay for way cheaper than it should have been. All right. I don't know what happened to me, but I suddenly decided that I wanted to collect every Nintendo console. So we'll see if I can accomplish it at some point. It is another console. We'll see. We'll see. All right. Well, let me look here. Okay. So if you haven't played Golf Story for the Nintendo Switch, it's definitely a game that you should check out. I highly recommend it. It is a very, very fun and very different top-down RPG centered around golf. It's not something that people would have really thought of, I don't think. But it seems really neat. And Sidebar Games had tweeted that Golf Story is featured on Nintendo's E3 Direct in Reggie's Gaming Lounge. They posted that on June 12th. And then Spider Monkey, which is a funny name, which is at Deuce Gamer, they said, great game. We'll be double dipping on the LRG release, and I can't wait to see a new project from you all. Please tell me you are working on another Switch project. And Sidebar Games said, sorry, but that will be top secret for a while. Well, that makes it seem like, yes, they are working on another Nintendo Switch game. And, you know, I really liked Golf Story. I never finished it, but I really liked it. I thought it was an extremely fun game. Very different and a lot of humor in it as well. And I'm very interested to see what comes next from Sidebar Games. Now, I know immediately a lot of people are going to look at this and they'll say, oh, it'll be Bowling Story or Frisbee Story or some other kind of oddball sports story RPG game. And while I would probably be extremely happy with any of those, what I think I would enjoy more is something completely different from this developer. They've shown already that they can make something unique and a brand new IP and do it all on their own. And they've shown that they've got the chops to make it and make it good. I would like to see them branch out and do something that we've not seen yet from them. So not more of the same, even though more of the same would be really, really cool. Captain Logan, it's not a Nintendo 64. That's right there. My brother-in-law gave that to me as a gift because he's awesome. Look at that thing. Hey there, man with the can. How you doing? All right, we'll call that golf. Save. Mr. Man with the Can, did I meet you before at what kind of name is Rory's stream? Is that where I met you? Because I feel like I've met you before, and I know you've been here before, but I feel like that's where we met, was in Rory's stream. Mr. Man with a Can jumps about a lot. It's funny. You could read that as he jumps about a lot, or he jumps about a lot of things. So who knows? Who knows what he means? What could it be? All right, here we go. Was that a dad joke thing? It probably was a dad joke thing. Captain Logan, it could be a Virtual Boy or a Wii or a GameCube, because those are the 3 home consoles from Nintendo that I don't have yet. All right. Oh, I think I screwed that up. Hold on. All right. So you may have seen my first look of Moonlighter for the PS4. I did this on my YouTube channel, which is youtube.com/runjumpstomp. And it was a really cool game. It's a top-down dungeon crawling game. I really liked the mechanic where you come back to town and you kind of build up the town afterwards. And I guess there were a lot of people asking about the Switch version of Moonlighter. I knew that this game was coming to Moonlighter eventually. I said that wrong. I knew that Moonlighter was coming to the Switch eventually, but the game was appealing enough that I had just asked for a PS4 review codes just so I could check it out. Somebody was asking on Twitter, and the developer has responded. Digital Sun Games said, many of you asked for details regarding the Switch version of Moonlighter. Well, we are working on it, and it shouldn't be released after 28 September. That's a really strange way to phrase that. It shouldn't be released after 28 September. So I guess what we're saying is that 28 September is their release date, but they are hedging their bets just in case they have to delay it, which I don't mind at all. Honestly, if I were them, I would have just said, we're looking at this fall, but we'll let you know closer to the release date, is what I would have said. The way that they phrase it makes it seem like, oh, it's coming out 28 September. And then if they don't hit 28 September, then people are going to, start yelling and be like, oh, how come you didn't do that? So that's just a way that I would have done it different. But this game seems really, really well suited for the Nintendo Switch, where you could take this game with you. Doesn't use the right stick too much. I would definitely pick this up again for the Nintendo Switch because it's a really good game, and being able to take it with you would be fantastic. Now, speaking of game companies that have responded to inquiries from Twitter, I recently tweeted out something to the developers of Hammerwatch, which is a really cool gauntlet style game for the Nintendo Switch. It's actually for I think it's on everything now. But I was playing it on Nintendo Switch, and I tweeted at them and I said, hey, when are we going to find out more about the online mode? Because, and by the way, I did a review of this game, which you can check out over at youtube.com/runjumpstomp. Maybe if I have time, I'll find a link and throw it in the show notes so you can watch the review of Hammerwatch. Hammerwatch is pretty awesome, and it can only be made better by giving us, how do I want to say, online play where we're playing against, or I'm sorry, where we're playing online co-op with our friends. And right now I'm looking, here's my tweet. I said, I really do enjoy Hammerwatch on Nintendo Switch, but online play has been, quote, coming soon for a really long time, about 5 months. Is there any progress on that? And Hammerwatch replied, they said, yes, there has been progress. We will release it soon-ish, but we still have some issues to sort out before being confident about a release date. So I'm very happy that they replied with that, because I was almost starting to think that they had decided it wasn't going to happen. I mean, 5 months is a long time, but for them to reply, I think it was within the hour that I posted it. That makes me very happy to hear that. And Hammerwatch is definitely a game that you should check out if you haven't yet. You can play as a lot of different types of characters. Like Ranger is probably one of my favorite because you can really kite really well. If you don't know what kiting is, then just look it up on YouTube. Kiting and gaming, or Google, I mean. Kiting in gaming is just a way to beat enemies a little different than you usually do. And in the Ranger can kite really, really well in Hammerwatch. And that's a gameplay style that I have always really enjoyed. So I like playing the Ranger in Hammerwatch. But there's a bunch of different classes that you can play as. It has couch co-op. My son doesn't really like the game, so I don't get to play couch co-op that way very often. But if it goes online, then I could see myself playing this game a lot more often. Anyway, that is it for tweets from from developers. The next thing that I want to talk about, well, we will talk about right after this. Now, let me just save where I was. Tweets. The cat just doesn't care. Oh, he's so sleepy. Are you sleepy, Marv? All right. I've been waiting for Nintendo to put out something like this for a long time, and that something is called the FlipGrip, which is a clever title, but it's something that allows you to play your Nintendo Switch sideways in portable mode. Why would I want that? Well, there's a lot of games that have come out that are vertical style games. One of them is Namco Museum for the Nintendo Switch. You can play that game with the Switch rotated vertically in portrait mode, basically, and that will actually make the game the real estate that the game takes up bigger. And I think that that's fantastic. Kind of the same thing with Pinball FX3. You can play that game vertically, and I'm sure that there's actually quite a few games that you can play vertically. Let me scroll down and I can find a bunch of them. Let's see. Arcade Archives Donkey Kong, Punch Out, Star Force, Terra Cresta. Basically all of the Arcade Archive games. Namco Museum Dig Dug, Pac-Man, Galaga 88, Pinball FX3, which I already said, Strikers 1945 2, and these are all games where they've got this cool feature, but you can't really take advantage of it. And I've been waiting for Nintendo to make something like this for a really long time, and they haven't. And that is the FlipGrip, which is this thing. You put your Joy-Cons on the side, and then you can slide your Nintendo Switch into it sideways, and you can then play your game vertically. Which, if you are watching the video version of the podcast right now, you can see what that looks like. And I think that that is really, really cool. I don't know when this is coming out. This is on Kickstarter, and it hit its goal. It had a goal of $42,500, and it hit that with 16 days to go. There's over 4,000 backers, and that hit 70,000. Now, it's on Kickstarter, and I have never backed something on Kickstarter, and I'm not going to back something on Kickstarter because I've heard horror stories about people who they back something on Kickstarter and then they never get the product. Now, I'm not saying that FlipGrip or Fangamer is going to do that. They have, it looks like, 4 previous Kickstarters already. So, if somebody there is to trust, it's somebody who's already done this before. If you want to get one of these, is $12 or more, basically. And they're estimating that it's going to come out on November 2018. So if you want one FlipGrip, it's going to cost $12 or more. And I think that that's pretty cool. I definitely want one, and I reached out to them to see if I can get a review unit just so I can check it out. It looks really, really well designed, and it's got like a little eject button so you don't have to worry about the thing falling out. And it even has a kickstand, which will allow you to you don't have to even hold your Switch. I think that that's really, really cool. And there's a bunch of games that support it. I mean, there's a very small number of games compared to the number of games that are on the Nintendo Switch, but you know, it's more than a handful of games that will support it. And you know, when I first saw Arcade Archives Punch Out, for the Nintendo Switch, I thought, well, couldn't they find another way to do this? Because it's like it's a vertical screen and it's squeezed onto this tiny screen. It just doesn't make a lot of sense to play it that way. But playing it vertically seems really cool, and I'm definitely interested in this thing. Again, that is FlipGrip, and if you are interested in picking up one of these, then check out the link in the show notes to take you there. This is done by Jeremy Parrish, who does Gaming Historian on YouTube and Retronauts. Oh, that's cool. For some reason, the board game side of Kickstarter seems way more reliable than the video game side. I don't know who these people are, Chris Maz. You and Captain Logan will have to work it out. Fight! All right. Oh, let me close this. All right. All right, two quick things before we get out of here. First off, the beta for Arena of Valor. If you want to sign up for the beta registration, there's a link in the show notes that will take you there. And basically, Arena of Valor is this extremely popular MOBA that is currently on cell phones, and over in Asia, it's extremely popular. And they're bringing it over to the West with the Nintendo Switch. And I'm definitely interested in checking it out. Currently, we don't have a MOBA on the Switch that I am aware of, or maybe there is one and I forgot about it. But I don't have high hopes for Arena of Valor because it is a cell phone first style MOBA. I am much more interested in getting a version of Smite or a version of Heroes of the Storm or League of Legends, that kind of stuff. I don't foresee getting those games, except for maybe Smite. I mean, we already have Paladins from the same development company. But Arena of Valor is, I believe, the first MOBA for the Switch, and I'm looking forward to trying it out. Let's see. Vaxxer says Dota 2 for the Switch would be funny. I don't know, man. I played a lot of Heroes of the Storm. And Heroes of the Storm 4 is a game by Blizzard. And when I played that with a mouse and keyboard, it felt like Diablo. And I've also played a lot of Diablo, especially Diablo 3. I poured hundreds of hours into that game. And Diablo 3, when playing it on the PC, I said, there's no way that they can ever translate this for consoles. And then when I got the console version of Diablo, I was like, oh, all right, they did it. They were able to translate this mouse and keyboard control scheme to a console for Diablo. And if they just did the exact same thing for Heroes of the Storm, I think it would work out, as long as you're not playing against people who are on PC. And I think that both Dota 2 and League of Legends and other MOBAs like that, they could definitely find a lot of success on consoles if they adapted the controls properly. And that's just my opinion. As long as you're not playing against people on the PC who have the advantage of mouse keyboard, I don't see a problem with it. Now, a lot of people would say that would never work, but Smite works wonderfully on the console. In fact, it's my preferred way to play, mostly because playing with a mouse and keyboard these days for me, due to injuries that I've sustained over my many years, is pretty painful for me to use mouse and keyboard all the time for a game. In fact, earlier today, I was sat down and we were playing the new version of Minecraft on the Nintendo Switch. My son was playing on Switch, and this is the Better Together update, basically. And I said, well, okay, let me start it up on PC and see how it plays there. And so he was on his Switch in the bedroom across the hall, and I turned on my computer and I started playing on his Switch from my computer using mouse and keyboard. And we probably played together for 30 or 40 minutes total. And at the end, like my wrists and elbow were incredibly, like they were just really sore from playing that way. Let's see. Captain Logan says, well, where you have to draw on the ground where you want the spell to go. No, I disagree, because there are, in Diablo 3, there are a lot of vector spells where you show on the ground where you want the spell to go, and it works great. And as long as you are not playing against people who are on a PC, I think it would work. Now, it doesn't matter because they're making enough money where they are, and Blizzard seems to have just written off the Nintendo Switch completely. I don't see Valve making anything for the Nintendo Switch, and League of Legends, it seems to be doing just fine the way it is. I don't think that any of these companies are going to be making a MOBA for the Switch. So it looks like Arena of Valor is what we're getting. Now, I would still love to see Smite, but anyway, the whole reason I brought this up is because the beta registration is here, and if you want to play that game for the 2 weeks that beta registration, the 2 weeks that the beta is available, then make sure that you register by following the link in the show notes. One more story before we go. Play Dead on Twitter. This is a company who made Inside and Limbo. Now, Inside I never played. I don't know much about that at all. But Limbo I did play, and Limbo is this really incredibly creepy game where you play as a little boy and everything is black and white. It's all shadows, and you can see like the shadow of the boy as you're walking through this really dark and creepy atmospheric area. And you can see the lights are just points of light, or I'm sorry, his eyes are just points of light. And as you play through, like, it's basically a puzzle solving game with a little bit of physics thrown in. And it's a really fun game. Now, those games, both Inside and Limbo, made by the same developer, they are coming to the Nintendo Switch worldwide on June 28th, which is in just 5 days from when I'm recording this. So if you haven't already picked up Limbo, and again, I don't know anything about Inside, but if you haven't already played Limbo and you don't have anything, well, if you haven't already played it, pick it up for the Nintendo Switch. It's a fantastic game. If you already have it elsewhere, I really don't see the need to pick it up for the Switch. This is not a game that really would shine due to its portability. I'm not going to pick it up again, but it's a really cool game, and I feel like there's a lot of people who probably missed out on it. So make sure that you check that out because it's really good. And again, that's the 28th when that comes out. Okay. All right, real quick, I would like to thank somebody. No. Oh, I remember now. I remember who it was, although I forgot to put it in the show notes. All right, I really quickly, before we go, I would like to thank Doggly Woggly, which is a funny name, for the iTunes review, or Apple Podcasts review. They reviewed the show. They gave it 5 stars. They said, for Nintendo-related nerd news, RJS does a great job. I like the Switch, and he does too, so naturally we like similar content. And RJS conveys that content brilliantly. Unlike about everyone else, RJS respects his entire community and doesn't obviously play favorites, which actually matters a lot to me. Keep up the good work. Well, thank you very much for listening, Doggly Woggly, and thank you for the 5-star review. I really appreciate it. As far as playing favorites, of course not. That would be crazy. But I'm just happy to have a community to hang out with. And if you want to hang out with that community as well, again, go to runjumpstomp.com/Discord and join up. Before I finish, I just want to talk a little bit about runjumpstomp.com. I've been working on the site a lot more lately, and I feel like it's coming along really well. So if you haven't checked out runjumpstomp.com, I'm posting more than just the podcast there. I'm also posting information about games, just little news blurbs that I find, and I talk about a lot of that stuff on the podcast, but not everything. Sometimes there is stuff on the podcast that I don't talk about. So if you haven't already checked out runjumpstomp.com, make sure that you do, because you could miss out on some cool content that I may not actually discuss on the show itself. Lastly, I just closed the window I needed, so that was dumb. Lastly, don't forget that if you want to get the full show, make sure that you join us live over at twitch.tv/runjumpstomp, or if you are not available to hang out with us when we do the live streams, make sure that you watch the video after the fact over at youtube.com/runjumpstomp. If you're looking to support my content, it's very, very easy to do. Just head on over to runjumpstomp.com/thank you. There's going to be a bunch of links there, and any of them that you can click would definitely help support the show. And now it's time to thank the awesome people who've been here for the whole episode today. We've got Kodiak, Moonwolf is here, Snow Goes Ham, Vaxer, Captain Logan, Chris Maz, let's see, and Mr. Man with the Can. Thank you guys for hanging out with me today. I really appreciate it. TF Wagner was also here at the beginning, but he had to go. I will see you guys next time, which will be on Tuesday. Let's see, the 26th. 26th. There, that was hard to say. Anyway, I'm out of here. Bye-bye.